So ladies and gentlemen, Cowboys legend Emmitt Smith recently spoke about the possibility of a Dallas Cowboys and Ezekiel Elliott reunion in an interview, and he had some stuff to say which we're going to talk about in today's video. Now before we dive into that, we need to talk about what the Cowboys have done at the running back position to really get a sense of where we're at right now and if what he's saying makes sense. So the Cowboys tagged Tony Pollard, Zeke has been released, they signed Ronald Jones in the initial stages of free agency. They went into the draft. They added Deuce Vaughn. And they also added Hunter Lipke as a fullback in the undrafted free agency pool as a high priority undrafted free agent. Now, a lot of that's important because with how they've been navigating these waters at the running back position, it's really telling you what they're going to do. So let's see what Emmitt had to say first, and then we'll further discuss. I think Dallas needs to bring Ezekiel Elliott back if they can. With the uncertainty of Pollard and being the Tony Pollard that we all know, that is yet to be seen. Until that has proven itself out and he's healthy enough to get out there and carry the football and be some form of who he used to be, that is my biggest concern. Now look, for me, I understand Emmitt's concern 110%. But bringing back Ezekiel Elliott is not the solution there. What the Cowboys have done is exactly what they should do. Sign a cheap running back in free agency. You go into the draft and add a running back. Then you look at the undrafted free agency pool and see if there's any guys there. The Cowboys really didn't have to do a whole lot at the running back position to really amp it up a whole lot. And with Tony Pollard's injury, I do agree. There is a level of uncertainty there, but let's take a look at the running back depth chart to really see, are we good? Do we need to add Zeke back? Does it make sense for the Cowboys to even do that? So let's take a look at that depth chart, right? Now, of course, I'm putting the rookies at the bottom because they have to work for their positions. So let's go from top to bottom. Assuming everybody's healthy, Tony Pollard is definitely running back one. We know what he can do. I don't even have to go any further than that. Next, I believe running back two is Malik Davis. Then you have Rico Dowdle because those three have been on the roster for this point in time. Then you have Ronald Jones, the second in the mix. And then Deuce Vaughn and Hunter Lipke at the bottom. Now, again, the reason why I had these two at the bottom is not because I think they're bad or they're not as good as the people above them. It's just rookies have to work their way up the depth chart. It's just not a given position unless you are drafted highly, like in the first 3 rounds, or the team puts a ton of resources into you through free agency, whether it's a tag or they sign you to a long-term deal, you name it. And so the Cowboys put that money into Tony Pollard, right? They gave him the franchise tag. Then you look at the draft capital that was used. It wasn't a lot, but you added Deuce Vaughn. You added Hunter Lipke. This stuff is very important because circling back to the idea of Zeke coming back, it doesn't make sense to me. Because in this running back room, Hunter Lipke is a guy that can do short yardage situations as a fullback. Deuce Vaughn and Tony Pollard can be that speed factor, and if you really want to have a power back, Ronald Jones can do that for you. I'm not saying these guys are the greatest players to ever live, but they'll get the job done for you. And one of the biggest things is that Emmitt talks about the health being a concern for Tony Pollard, and I'm not blowing that off. However, I can mention the exact same concerns about Ezekiel Elliott, and why is that? Well, 2021, the PCL tear that he suffered during the Carolina Panthers game, that didn't help him down the stretch of that season. Then, in the 2022 season, we're very well aware of the hit he took to his knee during the Detroit Lions game, I believe it was, and that didn't help him either. So the way I look at it is that I don't think Zeke is a bum. I don't think he's trash. I just think for the same points that Emmitt has brought up, it doesn't make sense to bring Zeke back. If they bring him back, that's cool and all. I'm not going to throw a fit. But what worries me is that with the Cowboys bringing back Ezekiel Elliott, it could possibly put them in a situation where they give him a quota that he needs to have a certain amount of carries. But given with how the Dallas Cowboys organization has operated, especially when Zeke was cut, thanking him for what he's done for the team, I don't think he's going to be back. I would be shocked if he comes back. But again, it just doesn't make sense to me. If you have concerns about Pollard's injuries, I don't know where you would not have concerns for Zeke's injuries. You see what I mean? And so I think the Cowboys did the best thing possible, and that was you get inexpensive guys to step in, and then you just see where it goes from there. If Tony Pollard gets re-signed, I don't think it's going to be for the amount of money that we're probably thinking, if I'm being honest. But if he ends up leaving, you just draft another guy. So we're going to just see how this running back room pans out. We'll talk about it more in depth as we get closer and closer to training camp. But please, tell me what you guys think down below about this whole Ezekiel Elliott reunion. Do you want it to happen? Do you think that we have other options? Because for me, I think that you realistically have Hunter Lipke to do what Zeke was in this, the short yardage situation. And I'm not taking away what Zeke did last year because that was important. But, at some point we have to move on. And I think that we have moved on, and I don't take any pleasure in saying that. It sucks that Zeke's gone, but I think it was for the betterment of the team because we know Mike McCarthy loves to have a stable of running backs as evident to what he did in Green Bay. And if it truly is going to be his show and what he wants to do, it's got to end up being that. So again, please tell me what you guys feel down below about this whole running back situation. Do you think Emmitt's right? Do you think Emmitt's wrong? Just let me know down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, guys? Have a good one. Goodbye.